Hi, everybody. It's Jill here with Illuminating Women. And today I'm very excited that I brought in a good friend and another one of our sisters in Illuminating Women, Jennifer Soames. I don't know what I'd do without this woman in my life, and she has supported so many of us in many ways. But right now, Jennifer has something she would like to share with all of you. And I asked her to come on Zoom so that we could do this together because I wanted you to see what other people go through and how we can best respect their boundaries and how we can best understand when certain circumstances and situations change. How can we support our sisters? And so, Jennifer, I just want to welcome you here today and just share a little bit about what's going on. And when you come to our Illuminating Women events, because you've made a big announcement of some changes you're going to be, how we can best support you and lift you up. So thank you. Just go ahead and share a little bit here.
Yeah, thanks so much. So some of you may know this already and some of you may not, but so nearly 6 years ago, it'd be 6 years in November of this year, I incurred a traumatic brain injury. And I've been quite open and vocal about it. I'm passionate about helping other people. So I've written a book and I've got social media and all that. But one thing that happens with TBI is that things can show up even years later. And things continually change because that is the nature of our bodies and our lives. And so over the last numerous months in particular, been dealing with some other challenges where it's basically creating debilitating fatigue, and to the point where I've decided to put my own health and well-being and happiness over my business. And I've decided to close my practice of 12 years in January of 2020, so in just a few months. And it's a big decision, and it's definitely not one that was made easily, but you know, there's a lot of people who want to offer support. And so this is our opportunity to share with you, what does support actually look like? Because it may not be what you think.
Oh, I love that. And that's so important because a lot of times we react out of our hearts and in our well-being, but in meaning, but it actually can hurt. And the last thing we want to do is hurt you. So Jennifer, can you share some ways you know, when you make an announcement like this, what are some ways that we can respect and lift you up and help you still feel really strong? Because yeah, we feel bad, but you know, it can be kind of hard with everybody coming, oh, I'm so sorry, what can I do? You know, because we're women, we always want to help. What are some ways that when we greet you to help you feel empowered, feel like, you know, like we can talk about other things, please, what can we do? Just give us some ideas of how we can support you.
So even though I know like sympathy and condolences are well intended, they feel to me more depressing and not supportive. So I really am at peace with this decision, and I feel good about it because I need to do this for myself, because I want to be happy and my healthiest self. And so just saying like, oh, if you want to say something about this, you might offer something like, I really admire that you're taking these steps for yourself, or congratulations on making this decision for yourself. But honestly, like, it doesn't have to be the topic of conversation either. You know, it doesn't have to be the elephant in the room, but also understand that there's so much more to me and to each and every one of you than, for me, like more than a TBI, more than my business. And so you can also ask me other things about what's going on in my life, because there's more than just that too.
And I love that. And I think that's important because sometimes we can get caught up. So, you know, one of the things that we also have a tendency, some of us women, to do is immediately give advice and you know, without asking, are you open for, or can I share? So what would be some ways that would be receptive to you or even other people when they've made a big change and they're dealing with a lot of stuff and they're a little fatigued with it themselves? Because I can imagine everybody coming to you between their sympathies and their well wishes and whatnot, but you know, also the advice column. Oh my goodness, we're all Dear Abby again. So are there some suggestions you can give around that?
Yeah. Well, for me currently, please don't offer me any advice, suggestions, or resources. I am not open to them. And that's a boundary that I've really set firmly. And even recently in some things I've shared on social media, I explicitly said that. And yet still people sent me messages with, you should see this doctor, and have you heard of this? And, you know, again, I know they're well intended, but they either ignored the boundary or they didn't read it, and that doesn't go over well with me. You know, I've been dealing with this for 6 years. I have written a book. I am a health professional, so I do know a fair amount about this. Granted, I don't know everything, and I fully admit that. But, you know, I tend to know more about what's going on with my body than you do. So please allow me to be my own expert in my body. And if you feel like there's something that you're like really excited about that you might want me to know about, just ask me first. Would you be open to hearing about a resource or, you know, whatever it is? Because that gives me the opportunity to say yes or no. And it becomes about me and not about you.
Oh, yes, yes, all of us. I mean, rewind this. Listen to what she just said, because that is so empowering to you and to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't fix everything. And there are times we just need to be there, just be a body. And let's talk about the high price of peas in Peru. You know, let's just do something, talk about something that, you know, even ourselves. I imagine you would love to be able to hear, hey, you know, Jennifer, you know, this is going on in my life. And I think it's important because I also can find women curling in and say, oh, I don't want to share, especially if a woman's going through a divorce or something. I don't want to share that my husband and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary. You know, I don't want to share that I'm doing this because I don't want you to feel guilty.
Yeah.
So can you address any questions around that?
Yeah. So let's say that your business is going really great. Maybe you just started your business or something else really awesome is happening in your life. Share it. Like, allow us to celebrate with you. And it doesn't make me feel bad if, like, you know, you're doing all this stuff in your business and you're getting speaking gigs and you've got workshops. Like, good for you. I will fully support you in that. But it doesn't make me feel any lesser because I know that I'm making the decision that I need to make for myself. And yeah, there is grief with this. Like, I'll admit, it's not like it's like, yay, I'm closing my practice of 12 years. You know, it's not that. But you know, but I'm not going to keep comparing myself to you or to anybody else because that doesn't serve anybody, and it certainly doesn't serve me to do that. So it's fine to share great things. Like, it doesn't have to all be this like solemn, sad, depressing thing, because ultimately I'm just moving on to the next chapter of my life and whatever that is. And I've got some ideas, but it's just the next thing, and that's what happens in life.
That was, again, very beautifully said, because truly we're all on this life journey together, and how we best support each other may look differently. And it's just having eyes to be in that other person. And it's asking questions, because sometimes we can be too afraid or, you know, we're going to melt or any of those sort of things. No, it's simply asking questions to understand without first blah out, you know, oh my God, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this is a learning curve. We're all learning it, because have you not done that? I have made.
I have been so guilty of doing the opposite of all the advice that I share these days. And I look back and I think of it and I go like, holy, you know, expletive, because, you know, I've been on the other side of that. And to then be completely like doing a 180 and to receive that, I was like, oh, that's what that feels like. So yeah, I know this because I've done it. And yet when you receive it, you really realize how it does not feel good. And, you know, I'm generally open to talking about this stuff, which is why, you know, I do all my videos and things like that. And if it's something that you want to ask me a question about, just say, hey, would it be okay to ask you a question about your TBI or about closing your business? And again, it gives me the opportunity to say yes or no.
Oh, exactly. Asking permission is so important without just blouting it out because oh my gosh, thank you. That was another very key point. Because you may be not in a space that can do that. And you might be able to say, hey, I'll be glad to chat at another time. Just today's not good. I'm here at an Illuminating Women event. I really want to see a lot of I don't really want to get into this right now
Yeah.
because it kind of lowers my spirit. And it's just not really, I'd rather let's just talk about your kids, or let's talk about your dog, or whatever
Yeah.
you're doing, things like that. Yeah, I totally understand that. Well, Jennifer, I want to thank you so much for sharing from your heart, for being authentically who you are, and blessing us with wisdom, because we have a lot of wisdom, we women, and we need to share that with one another. I want us to share that with one another, because that's how we grow, and without shame, without embarrassment, with getting all this guilt and comparing and all of that stuff that we're working through, and we work through it together. And you just gave us some excellent ideas and anecdotes and ways that we can greet one another when we see you Friday night at Girls Night Out, or a luncheon, or anybody else who's going through a different circumstance like what you have just shared so openly. Thank you so much, and I'm really grateful for that. I do wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you so we could talk about some other fun things, like your garden and what are you doing with some of these recipes, squash and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I figured that, when I reached out to you, that this would be a great learning opportunity for everybody. So that's why I
So, and before we end, what is some of the things that you might want to just let us kind of know?
Yep. Well, I figure that this opportunity would be helpful to other people, because it doesn't matter what situation you're going through. It can be a huge life change. It can be something that's smaller, but still big to you. And I figured that by sharing this, it'll give all of us an opportunity to just be more mindful of how we engage with people who are going through a difficult time. And discussing these things is something that we tend not to do. So the more that we talk about it, the more comfortable we get with it, and the more comfortable we can get by being present in somebody else's pain, suffering, and discomfort.
Oh, beautifully said. Well, thank you, Jennifer. And I look forward, thank you again for sharing from your heart. And thank you, ladies, for listening to this. And may we all illuminate our personal and be able to help others out in the same way, with intention and mindfulness that serves them as well as it serves us. So thank you again, and you take good care, and we will see you all soon. Bye.
Bye, ladies.